Welcome to In Conversation with Andrew Vaughn. In today's episode, Andrew sits down with well-known and respected conditioner, Vaughn Marshall, sharing insight, experience, and the thinking behind the stable. Stay with us. This is where racing minds meet. And now, here's your host, Andrew Vaughn.
Good afternoon, folks, or good morning, good evening, wherever you are, whatever time it is. A great pleasure to welcome Mr. Vaughn Marshall to the studio to chat about the Drill Horse Stakes, a very, very significant race, probably the strongest 1400-meter race that I've seen for many, many a year, and justifiably so. The horse that has won 9 races, that has got a very, very high merit rating, deservedly so. Questioning, Vaughn Marshall, thank you very much for giving us of your time.
A pleasure, Andrew. A pleasure.
Well, the first question I've got to ask you, you've had some very special horses in your time, but let's say not least of all One Stripe, probably one of the best we've seen for many, many a year. When last did you have a 9-time winner that's got beaten a short head in the King's Plate that has subsequently gone on to win and have many horses win behind him? This is the real deal. This horse, questioning, is the real deal.
Yeah, Andrew, he's like a bottle of red wine. He's got better with age and, careful looking after. He certainly has improved as a from 4 to 5.
So I was listening to the presenters talking about his last start at Greyville, and, you just get confronted with unassailable logic that irrespective of whatever's in the race, they've all got him to beat because, he has traveled from Cape Town, but his form is so sparkling that it's very, very hard to imagine that he could have got beat last time out. He didn't disappoint anybody. He won with contempt. Is this part of his main goal during the KwaZulu-Natal winter season, or is it just a race that suits him perfectly?
No, it's always been his aim, Andrew, and with his run in the King's Plate, it threw another race in the lot, as it were, and that's the Gold Challenge. So, it's this race on Saturday and the Gold Challenge. Those are his main aims, and hopefully we can pull them off. But I think you're correct in saying that he's the horse that they've got to beat. Jerusalem Moraine yesterday just franked his form. And he's very, very well. So, I think he's the horse to beat.
So it's a family that you know very well. You obviously know this mare, and you had his half-brother about twice over, who was a very successful racehorse. Perhaps didn't get to the dizzy heights that questioning has got to. But I get a feeling that you'd have to put this horse in the top 5 of all the horses you've trained without sounding sensational. I think he's an absolutely magnificent animal.
Yeah, he is, Andrew. But saying the top 5 is stretching it a little bit. I've been very fortunate in having some really top horses in the past. So he's just a very, very good horse.
So would One Stripe be your best, or would Le Fabulous be your best? I know it's very hard to flick through the pages of time so quickly, but at the top of your who would be your heart horse in the time that you've been training?
Well, I think Face North, because we never ever saw the best of him, and he was killed prematurely with a motor accident. But look, I've had good horses. You've just rattled off a couple now, and you've forgotten a horse called Taban. So
oh my goodness,
there's some really top horses. They're top horses, and so One World. William
I think he won 20 races, didn't he, Taban? He was a son of home.
19,
if my memory serves me correct.
Yeah, 19. Yeah. So,
and he was running in... Sorry, Vaughn?
Yeah, he was running in a very, very strong generation. So, he was a great racehorse.
Yeah, I seem to think that Flow By You might have been around at the same time.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Okay, so let's look at this Guineas. Let's look at this Drill Horse Stakes. Last year's winners there, Gladiatorian, he's number 2. Legal Counsel, the runner-up in the Mets there. Roland Garros, who's come to Natal with all guns blazing. Great Plains, who had a very bad draw last time, but he's a very good 1400-meter horse. Outlaw King, who you look to have held on form on 2 separate occasions. Cat's Pajamas is no slouch. The Real Prince We know he might just be in need of the run after having been in Johannesburg. And then, of course, Jet Force could be anything. So it really is potentially a grade 1 race when you look at the merit ratings.
Oh, absolutely. And there's some very talented horses in that race.
So as far since his last start at Gravel, where he was victorious over Jerusalem Moraine, who, as you quite correctly said, came out and beat Buffalo Storm Cody yesterday. That was on the 11th of April, and of course it was a 1,200 meter soft track. It doesn't get better than 1,400 meters for this horse, even though there's no doubt that he probably will get the Gold Challenge distance. How have things gone since that 1,200 meter start at Gravel?
Yeah, I don't think I could have hoped for better. He's done his work, and everything's gone according to plan. He looks magnificent. So it's in the lap of the gods, and we just need a bit of luck. But as we pointed out, it's a very, very competitive field. There's some young horses there that are coming through that you've got to take note of. But I'm hoping we can pull it off.
So, from a perspective of instructions, do you give Richard Fourie instructions, or does he know the horse like the back of his hand and just ride him as he finds him?
Andrew, I'm one of those from the old school. I don't give instructions. The jockey knows the horse, and he must produce.
Fantastic. Okay, let's move on to Better Man. No representative in the Fillies Guineas, unless I've missed something. I'm certainly hope that I haven't missed anything. But on to Better Man. He's taking on a horse that's won the Horse Chestnut as a 3-year-old with some measure of excellence, and a lot of very, very good other horses in the race. Where does Better Man sit in your eyes?
Yeah, look, he was disappointing in the Derby, but I must take part of the blame, and that I think we rode him incorrectly up there, and his best run possibly, and even though it wasn't in the money, was in the the Gold Concord, which is the Punters Cup in Cape Town.
Yes,
we came from a long way back, and he got beaten 2 lengths. So that was a good run, and that's what we're hoping to do on Saturday, is to drop him and get him to settle and let him run on at the finish.
Yeah, well, that puts him only a length behind Happy Verse, who's also in this race.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So they put the collateral form works out. That's the beautiful thing. I'm actually on a discussion tonight about investing in the share market or punting as a professional horse follower. And to me, I don't know how to actually sum up the excitement of studying form, looking at the horse, trying to fathom whether you'll get the luck on your side. To me, it's got to be the most exciting endeavor that there is to any human being, to try and fathom out the result of a horse race with so much information available to you.
No, absolutely, and we all live in hope that we will pull something out the bag. But he's a horse that I thought a hell of a lot of as a youngster, and I just hope that he comes through and confirms my opinion of him.
And I've heard many a trainer say I must be getting old because I'm now training the sons and daughters of these horses that I had when I started off training. But there can't be too much more satisfaction than training a horse that was by one world in what he did for you and what he did for Ken and all the people that had been involved with him. And I'm sure Gaynor is just so excited to have him stand at Drakenstein.
No, absolutely. He was a wonderful racehorse, and he's a wonderful sire. So we're just holding thumbs that we can pull a big one out the bag for him sooner than later.
Yeah, and I suppose, you speak to John Costa, he always says it's the giant causeway coming through, but we know that there's probably nobody that's closer to his heart than Captain Al, as he would be for you. He would be a horse of the lifetime that have to be in the top 3 of all that you've trained.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, Vaughn, short and sweet and to the point. You've got a very, very busy day today at Scottsville, and nobody goes to Scottsville without a fully loaded gun, and it looks like that is the case today. It looks like you have got some very decent runners at Scottsville, the capital of Pietermaritzburg.
Yeah, I think our 2-year-old Vibe Check, I think, even though he's drawn badly, he's got a huge chance. And then our main hope for the day is a son of one world, a rich man's world, who's done everything we've asked of him, and hopefully we can crack one.
Yeah, on the subject of rich man's world, what would be his main goal during the course of the KwaZulu-Natal winter season?
Well, the gold medallion in 3 weeks' time. That's what he's here for.
So it's just to show him the course and give him let him stretch his legs.
Absolutely.
Mr. Marshall, thank you very much for your time. Drive safely, and hope to see you at Greyville on Saturday.
Wonderful. Thank you, Andrew. Thanks very much.
Much appreciate your time.
A pleasure. Take care.
You too. Thank you, Vaughn.
You've been listening to In Conversation with Andrew Vaughn, where insight meets experience and racing comes to life. We thank you for joining us.